Do you know the last time Kansas went Democratic in a presidential election? It was 1964, when Lyndon B. Johnson carried 44 out of 50 states, plus the District of Columbia. Since then, a Republican has won the state of Kansas every 4 years for the last 54 years. In 2016, Donald Trump won Kansas by 20 points. Less than 2 years ago, in 2020, he won by nearly 15 points. Kansas is a red state. And yet, last night, we saw a huge win for liberals in Kansas. Voters resoundingly rejected an amendment removing abortion rights protections from their state constitution, voting it down 59 to 41%. Now, just to put that a bit more into context, just to put the entire political earthquake into context, that ballot question was supposed to be an easy win for the anti-abortion side. It was not even supposed to be close. A recent poll found that 47% of Kansans plan to vote yes on the amendment compared to 43% who plan to vote no. And Republicans were supposed to cruise to victory with their demographic advantage. Last night, most of the primary races on the ballot were among Republicans. There wasn't much incentive for Democrats to even show up aside from this one ballot question. And it was a strategic and very cynical decision to put this question on the primary ballot instead of the general election. Proponents of the measure were hoping and planning for a low turnout. The question itself was intentionally garbled to confuse people. The text read in part, quote, "To the extent permitted by the Constitution of the United States, the people through their elected state representatives and state senators may pass laws regarding abortion, including, but not limited to, laws that account for circumstances of pregnancy resulting from rape or incest or circumstances of necessity to save the life of the mother." Voters had to choose either yes or no to that statement, with a yes vote being against abortion rights and a no vote supporting them. Not exactly intuitive. But the people of Kansas turned out to vote in droves, and many of them were very concerned about this issue. After the Supreme Court's decision overturning Roe v. Wade in June, voter registrations in Kansas surged nearly 1,000%. And, quote, "Women accounted for 70% of all new registered voters in the state." Yesterday's turnout blew away all expectations. On Friday, Kansas Secretary of State Scott Schwab predicted that about 36% of voters would participate in the primary election. 36%. Last night, as the numbers rolled in, he said that the actual number, quote, "could be almost 50%, and at that point, you're looking at general election numbers. It's looking a lot like the 2008 turnout for the Obama presidential race, so it's incredibly high turnout." More than 900,000 people voted in Kansas, nearly twice as many as in the 2018 primary. And we are seeing some massive swings from the 2020 results. For example, Franklin County in eastern Kansas went for Donald Trump 68 to 30%. Yesterday, the people of Franklin County rejected this amendment 56 to 44%. Voters themselves were surprised, as one woman told NBC reporter Dasha Burns last night.
I'm surprised. All of my friends and I thought that it was going to be a very narrow margin of victory or defeat. And so we were just nervous. We've been nervous since we heard about the Supreme Court's decision. I'm really proud that our state came through and decisively won. I'm very happy for me. I'm very happy for my daughters and my family. I'm happy for my granddaughters and women to come and generations to come, that our state stood up and said no. We're the first ones to say no. So I'm overjoyed.
Now, this result really should be the end of the debate over whether or not Democrats should put abortion front and center in their midterm campaigns this year. Republicans who have been insisting that the Supreme Court decision would not change anything in the lead up to the midterms seem to have been proven wrong. Just look at what Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief of the conservative magazine National Review, wrote just a few weeks ago. Quote, "The historic Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade, which Democrats have been hoping will stun voters into supporting them in what otherwise would be a big GOP year, hasn't had much discernible political effect." That aged well. And even Democrats themselves have sometimes been afraid of their own shadow when it comes to abortion rights. White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield took a lot of heat for this statement, defending President Biden's initially lackluster response to the decision overturning Roe, saying his goal, quote, is not to satisfy some activists who have been consistently out of step with the mainstream of the Democratic Party. The result in Kansas shows that she was wrong too. Abortion rights activists who have criticized Biden for not responding more forcefully are clearly the ones in line with public opinion, even in that deep red state. The president has also been criticized by some for almost never uttering the word abortion. Mr. President, do not be afraid to say the A word. As the people in Kansas showed us last night, Americans are A-OK with it. Now, we know Democrats would much rather talk about and run on quote-unquote kitchen table issues. But their opponents are pro-forced birth, even forced birth for kids. That's who they're running against. So you want a kitchen table issue? How about not chaining women to the kitchen table? Why not run on that? What we saw in Kansas last night shows that abortion is actually a perfect issue for Democrats, that both energizes their supporters and perhaps surprisingly does not seem to energize Republicans in the way many thought it would. Maybe, just maybe, November won't be all doom and gloom for Dems.